Scientists just discovered something that challenges our definitions of life. There's actually over 100 scientific definitions of life, but you may remember learning in school that for something to be considered alive, it has to have these 8 qualities, which mainly revolve around metabolism and reproduction. That's why viruses classically aren't considered alive, because while they reproduce, they don't metabolize anything or have any energy flow through them. They just float around as static particles until they land on a host. There's also some other weird exceptions, like mules can't reproduce, but no one would doubt that a mule is alive. And when tardigrades enter cryptobiosis, they're not doing anything that we consider that living things do, and yet they're still considered alive. But this new organism is an edge case that really blurs the line between living and non-living. Researchers were sequencing all the DNA found in a specific type of plankton when they found a new small genome that belongs to this organism, Sucunarchaeum mirabile. It isn't a virus, but an archaeobacteria. Archaeobacteria split from bacteria, and then one archaeobacteria engulfed what would now be called mitochondria to form eukaryotes, which became all multicellular life, including eventually us. The genome of this newly discovered organism is the smallest of any archaeobacteria ever found at 238,000 base pairs, which is smaller than some viruses and almost any bacteria. This organism gradually lost all of its genome except the parts needed to reproduce and infect its host cell, meaning it doesn't actually take care of metabolism on its own. It's entirely dependent on its host cell to survive. And this places it in a pretty gray area in terms of living versus non-living. The way that it lost so much of its genome over time has actually led some biologists to speculate that some viruses could have evolved in a similar way, where they're basically stripped down bacteria or archaeobacteria, except for just the parts needed to reproduce. Our definitions of life are good rules of thumb, but life ultimately defies any hard boundary between living and non-living, and is really a spectrum of complexity. For example, viruses are much more alive or closer to it than rocks, even if they're not considered alive. I cover what I think are some of the most interesting science stories like these each week on my Substack. Check the link in my bio for more.